MessiahJiri revealed in his press conference today that Nick Nurse and his comments before the game in Philadelphia, where he said he needed a bit of time to reflect after the season, MessiahJiri claimed that those comments did not have an effect on the decision to fire him. But I think MessiahJiri is lying, and I would like to go through some reasons why I really believe that is the case, and I think I'm going to convince you as well. So if you guys don't know, on Amateur Sports, my main channel today, I was talking about the decision to fire Nick Nurse. And the video title, which is what pinched the nerve of some people, was, I said, the real reason the Raptors fired Nick Nurse. So obviously, a little bit of embellishment goes into creating titles for YouTube. Forgive me for being a content creator and doing that, but I always make sure that my video titles have a big significance on what the video is going to be about. And in this specific scenario, I strongly feel as though I lived up to that billing despite people disagreeing with me. I believe the real reason Nick Nurse was fired was those comments. Now, obviously, there's all these other things that go into it, but I don't think Nick Nurse coaching a mediocre roster to a mediocre record is grounds to fire him, especially given the track record of success that we've had with him, even like a year ago, talk about making the playoffs with a team that was expected to be a play-in caliber team, finishing as the 5th seed, winning 48 games. But I think the play-in loss to the Bulls, the manner in which we lost, coupled with those comments that really ruffled some feathers within people like MessiahJiri and Bobby Webster, I think that was the thing that put Nick Nurse over the top for MessiahJiri to make that decision to fire him. I made that video this morning before the press conference because as soon as Nurse got fired, it revealed, I literally within a minute started recording a video talking about the whole situation. So I did not see the press conference. But in that said press conference, MessiahJiri said, because he was asked about it, if Nick Nurse's comments in that press conference for the game against Philadelphia, if these comments had a factor in his decision to fire him. And this is the press conference for the Philadelphia game where Nick Nurse said, 10 years is a good time to sit back and reflect a little bit. Was super ambiguous about his future, was really teasing at the possibility of him leaving in the offseason. Could have just shut it down and said, I'm focused on this team, getting us into the playoffs, and going from there. Shot it down right away. Didn't do that, danced around it a lot. I don't think it was as bad as people said, but it was bad for, apparently, the front office. Now, again, they said it didn't have an effect, and I think they're lying. The front office, we had reports from a lot of credible sources saying that the Raptors front office was the Raptors front office was unhappy with Nick Nurse's comments and, quote, they let him hear about it. They told him they were unhappy with it. MessiahJiri, in his press conference today, explicitly said that it was a mistake by Nick Nurse saying these things, which would give us the implication that MessiahJiri was upset about it. Because if it wasn't a mistake, then there would be nothing to be upset about, right? Clearly, MessiahJiri was unhappy with what Nick said. Now, obviously, there's a whole bunch of other things that go into this, but I think that really was one of the last little things that put Nick Nurse over the top for MessiahJiri's decision to fire him. Now, again, he said it didn't factor into the decision, and he also said that Nick Nurse knows he made a mistake. That's what he said in the press conference. How I know he's not telling the truth is that Nick Nurse has had a press conference after the season where he was asked about this extensively. He was asked extensively about the press conference before the Philly game, if he regrets it, anything like that he wanted to address there. And all these opportunities for Nurse to say it was a mistake, he never conceded. He never took back what he said. He never conceded to anything. He was repeatedly asked in this press conference if he regretted making those comments, and he repeatedly stood by his words in saying the answer was no. A very clear no. He stood by his comments and that he said it was the press going too far with them. Frustrated maybe that the press took it so far that it caused a stir with his bosses, and maybe there was discussions behind the scenes. Maybe there was something that happened behind the scenes. I don't know. Maybe Nurse Maybe Nurse did apologize behind the scenes. Maybe something was going on there. We don't know. But from my standpoint, I'm not a guy on the inside. You know me. I just process all the information that you guys have as well. I process it. I formulate my own opinion based on all of the evidence that we have here, and I convey it in messages in my videos, my shorts, my live streams, everything like that. So I wasn't a fan of people calling out my integrity. That's what probably grinds my gears the most. People saying that I was like trying to lie, trying to push this message that wasn't there. But I firmly believe, and I'm going to double down on my stance, even after that press conference from MessiahJiri. I recorded the video before the press conference, but I want to double down on my stance that it did play a part. And I think it played a big part. I think that the front office was very much on the fence. They took a lot of time to think about this, but I ultimately think this press conference from Nick Nurse, where he said he needs to take time to reflect, that the front office evidently was upset about. I think that was the thing that put this whole situation over the top to allow MessiahJiri to make the decision to fire Nurse. And here we are today with Nick Nurse out of a job. If Nurse had made a full commitment to this team, if Nurse had made, I want to be here, I want to, get back on track next season, which, he did say in the press conference this week. If he had been firm on the stance from the beginning, I'm not so sure we're sitting here today without a head coach for this franchise. So I don't think MessiahJiri would admit that it played a part. I think MessiahJiri is right in conveying the message that it's all, performance-based in the court and not all these extra things. But I think that's saving face. I firmly am in the mindset that this played a big part and was the real reason that went behind MessiahJiri going on and making this sort of decision. Now, polarizing topic. There's a lot of people who are going to disagree. Completely fine with that. But from my standpoint, from what I'm seeing here, that's the way I process what MessiahJiri was saying in that press conference. And it really made him seem like maybe Nurse wasn't a guy who was fully invested in getting this team back. Nurse wasn't fully invested in getting this team back to talk. Maybe Nurse had kind of checked out. I don't really believe that, but maybe all these things played a part. But it certainly did not help his cases of keeping his job when Nurse went off about needing time to reflect on his time with the Raptors, needing time in the summer to reflect. Well, MessiahJiri, he needed a little bit of extra time to reflect. Usually his postseason press conference is like 2 days after the season. This time it was like 9 days after the season finished. What are we? Yeah. 9 days after the season finished here. It's because he needed time to make the decision on Nick Nurse. He didn't need the extra time to reflect on the future and ultimately pulled the trigger on the decision and reset the franchise and got them started in a brand new direction. But I think MessiahJiri's lying about it. I think it's smart to do it. I think it's saving face, but I ultimately believe that Nurse pinched a nerve with the front office when he said those things. And I think that was just enough for MessiahJiri to confirm this team is getting a new head coach.